we usually don't have any kind of official start. Some people are like, no, on Now I See podcasts. But
Well, that was great.
right, yeah, we can just start with that.
You don't have a jingle or anything?
Today on the Now I See podcast with John Wilson. Yeah, no jingle.
Oh man, we gotta fix it.
I mean, we have like a little clip in the beginning that plays with like a little sound bite,
It's in
but
post or whatever. Yeah.
I just can't do the like. I feel like it's too weird doing the official thing. So we're just like, let's just jump right into the conversation starting now.
Yeah.
Actually, there's times we've had people in here and they're like, oh wait, have we started? It's like, yeah, we started. Like right now, we
could
started.
Like we started. Oh no!
Did you know we started?
Is my makeup on?
Yes. Yeah. So cool. So this is John Wilson. Cameras, everybody, people. For those of you in the room who already know John,
We actually have an audience.
yeah. But so we connected a little while ago. Your story is awesome, and actually connected to some moments in my life that have changed me in a lot of ways, which we didn't realize until we were talking. And so, man, I would love to just dive in a bit to your story. We have some cool things that we're getting to work together on now.
Yeah.
But we absolutely love testimonies, and we love weird testimonies. Like my wife and I feel like have met so many people in so many different worlds where, I don't know, I feel like sometimes you go to a church and you hear someone come and share their testimony and it's like, I did this and then God saved me and now this. But as we've traveled and we've met, movie producers and actors and people who own one-wheel parks and old-time photo booths and magicians and like event coordinators and festival, and it's just so cool. I think when we realize that God moves in the lives of people, period. No matter who you are, no matter what you do, no matter what you're passionate about, no matter what your background is, God changes lives. That's exciting to me. And I think it should be exciting to anybody because that means these things apply to everybody.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, I'd love to get into just a little bit of your backstory, your passions, the things that you love, and how we ended up sitting in this room.
Yeah, it's really cool, God's story. Honestly, I've been being a music promoter, obviously, my love for music, right?
Yeah.
And
did you ever play music by any chance? What made you?
I tried, and I got booed off the stage a lot.
Like old school Tomatoes.
Oh man, I wish it were just Tomatoes. No, I tried that, and I just didn't like the spotlight at all. I was more captivated by what was going on behind the scenes, right? Like how all the elements come together, right? And so for a season, maybe through high school, I was in the traditional music classes and band and choir, show choir, did dancing, was on Star Search, won it, all these different things.
You won Star Search?
Yeah.
Wait, is this a for real thing?
Yeah.
You're just now telling me this?
Yeah. I thought you already knew.
That is hilarious, bro.
Yeah.
Yo, time out. I need to let this digest for a minute. So you're like the OG. I'm like, I won America's Got Talent. You're like, yeah, I won the thing that inspired someone to create America's Got Talent.
Oh, wow.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I like you just casually threw that in there. Okay. I thought you were joking at first because. All right, keep going. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well,
wait,
it's
doing
funny.
what? One Star Search doing.
We back when boy bands were popular.
Yeah.
The group. So I had a troupe of 18 dancers that I did all the choreography for, and it was part of a school program. And we started doing these little local talent shows. And then someone saw us and said, you need to try out for Star Search, like the Ed McMahon kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we're like, okay, this sounds cool. Got it approved, got it signed off at the school. And we went and performed, and they accepted us, and we won it. And the funny thing is we won a recording. Our award was a recording session. And like for singers, we're not singers, we're dancers.
And a session.
A recording session, yeah.
One session.
And we're like, are you going to record our shoes on the floor? Like because we weren't singers, So anyways, it was super cool experience regardless.
This is blowing my mind. I did not know this. I literally was waiting for you to be like, no, I'm just kidding. And then you never said that. And I was like, this is amazing.
This is my mic drop. All right, thank you for having me.
and that's the whole thing. Okay, so you did this, and obviously now you have a passion for performing and stage stuff and everything. I feel like at high capacity also though, right? Because on those shows, especially in that time, like that was ahead of its time, right? Like that was all the big production stuff.
It was, and I was learning really quickly, though. I didn't like it.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
There was so much pressure.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to know how it all came about. I want to be the guy that puts it all together, right?
Yeah.
And so when I graduated from high school, we got away from it. The group, we could have gone places. I feel like at that season, after winning that, we could have done many, many things.
Yeah.
Right. But it was a large group. So high school, a lot of bad things happened. Some of us got into drugs, some of us got in alcohol, some of them got pregnant, and we just like stopped.
Yeah.
But
And you feel like that, like being on TV that happened, do you think that affected you, your ego,
I think it was the start of it.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing that's ever happened, right?
Yeah.
We were winning local stuff. We in my hometown we had this what we called a walnut festival.
Yeah.
It's like the king of crops, so to speak, of the
Yeah,
event in that town, and we performed on it, and we were like the headliner.
Yeah.
And because we won all these things, and
you were in high school. See,
Yeah.
here's the thing. Everything that I experienced on America's Got Talent and all these things, I can't imagine having done that in high school.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like what that would have done to my brain. And I think especially now you look at social media, right?
Yeah.
And how this has affected people. Everything's measurable.
Sure.
And I thought, like, when I was on AGT, I thought so many times, like, I'm so glad, like, I'm married, I got kids, I have a family, I got, like, you know what I'm saying? There's something, I got people in my life.
Yeah.
I'm not that 18-year-old version of myself anymore, because it's hard when all of a sudden the spotlight is on you.
Yes, but I don't know that it was as hard being a younger person in high school because you thrive for that spotlight.
Right.
You always want to feel accepted.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying is like, I think that like when you're that young and all of a sudden you are thrown into that spotlight, which you desire, which you crave, now all of a sudden I feel like there's just more opportunity for you to put your identity into that more.
Oh, 100%.
Right? And so that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm so grateful that this was not earlier on in my life, because I don't think younger, insecure me would have known how to separate my worth and my value from being on TV and winning something.
Well, even in the positions that we're in now, in the maturity in our walk with Christ, that is still sometimes a challenge.
No, I know, 100%.
Because the industry that we're both in is almost similar.
Yeah.
And it is so, you can get swayed one way or another.
Yep.
Very quickly.
Very quickly, and sometimes without even realizing it.
Right.
Because you start surrounding yourself with people who have a different value system, but a same value system. Like, we're trying to grow things too. We're trying to do this too. We're trying to fill seats too.
Right.
But we do it in this way, and there's these weird business practices. There's these weird things they do in their off time. Right. And all of a sudden you find yourself connecting on, I guess, the vision and the dream of the thing you're wanting to grow, but not connecting morally.
Right.
And when all of a sudden you're in these spaces, I think that's when it becomes very easy to compromise, because you're like, well, these are my people. And this is, I guess, just what they do in this industry.
Yeah.
Man, that's...
So, bombshell there. So, graduated from high school, all that kind of left. We all went our different ways. However, I was still not feeling accepted, right?
Yeah.
And that's, I got real bad into drugs, got into alcohol, growing up, even before I graduated, I was living in, at home, and it was a very sheltered life for me. I mean, I spent a lot of my time in the bedroom, couldn't get out.
Yeah.
There was a season in my life too where my bedroom was in the basement, so it was even kind of a little bit more isolated.
Yeah.
And really, even in that time, the only thing I had was a radio and a window to look out of. And when I wrote my book, Honky Tonk Nights to Christian Lights, you get it now on Amazon.
Yeah, totally good.
When I was writing that book, I didn't realize until then where that love of music came from. And being in that basement and being in that room, being sheltered, music was the only thing that took me out of my
And when you say sheltered, were you like down there like just depressed and isolating on purpose? Were your parents, they made you stay home, or like
it was more parents staying home, couldn't go nowhere. It was straight go to school, get on the bus, come home, go back to your room.
Yeah.
Kind of
So
thing.
it was like in my basement or just on TV winning some big show.
Well, the TV thing came after, because here's the thing: when I left home my junior year of high school.
Oh, wow, gotcha.
Yeah, at the age of 17, I left home. And that's when I spread my wings out. That's why I wanted to be involved in everything. I was free. I could do extra activities at school, like show choir, band.
I see.
All those things.
Oh, interesting.
And then when I got in it, I was feeling finally accepted, did all these things, wanted to be involved. And so it kind of started the story backwards, but to catch us back up. So the home life as a kid growing up was rough. Graduated my junior year of high school. went through high school, and I still graduated. I still graduated as a senior, which was very hard. I was the only person in high school that had my own house at the age of 17.
Oh my goodness.
So guess who has the party house?
Yeah. That's a bad thing, probably.
Very bad thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, in living in a small town, I mean, you even had officers that would, after their shift, come to my house and party.
Yeah.
So
Goodness gracious.
again, trying to feel accepted, trying to feel wanted, and just going down the wrong path.
Yeah.
And
one thing I think is really interesting, and I, as a magician, I always parallel things to like illusions, right? And I think that there's this illusion that if we just accomplished something great, if we just had stuff, we just had something, that we would know more of who we were, right? Like we think that if I just accomplished a thing, if I was the best at a thing, if I had a house, if I had an income, then I would know who I am and I would feel fulfilled. But what's wild is, I mean, dude, we hear story after story, testimony after testimony of people who accomplished what they thought would give them identity, and they ended up losing themselves more.
Right.
And so what's really interesting is for you, it's like, dude, you accomplished this thing, you had this group, you were on TV, you bought a house, right? All these things. And yet we're becoming more lost, right? And I think that's just, as you're talking, I'm just thinking of like the psychology of this, of how dangerous it is when we think that someday we will accomplish something that will give us our identity, and then you just realize it doesn't work that way.
No, it totally wasn't. And that's really, you just start chasing after it. And I think where that came from is not knowing who I was because of the surrounding that I was so confined in. Right?
Yeah.
So the moment I left, I spread my wings, got involved in everything. Like I said, the drugs and alcohol. Did you even know that I was a firefighter?
I didn't know you were a firefighter.
Yeah. I was a firefighter in EMS. I was saving lives. It was another organization that I was a part of that I did for many years, and I'm putting out fire. It was just another thing I was trying to figure out. I was just trying to figure out my identity.
Yeah. You're like, am I a dancer? Am I
a dancer? Am I a
star? Am I a behind the scenes guy?
Or am I putting out fires?
Firefighter?
Literally.
Am I a party
Which
guy?
I'm still putting out fires.
Yeah. Just maybe it's just a little different.
Just a little different. But so, doing all these different things. And fast forward, I met my wife. We were both bartenders at different bars, right? And I met her, and we just kind of kicked it off. We both kind of had a love for music, love for the bar, love for the scene, the drugs, the alcohol. And we were only together for, 6 months maybe? And then we got married. And we went to our very first outdoor music festival, the two of us. And it was like a Tim McGraw concert. And I was just so, as a matter of fact, we couldn't even afford to go to the concert. We signed up to be volunteers for a local radio station, and all we had to do was hand out flyers when we got there.
That is awesome.
And we didn't care about the flyers. We handed out one or two, threw the rest away, and ran to the front of the stage.
Yeah. Come on, bro, let's go.
But that's when we knew. That's when I knew. Like, I was watching all this. My wife was watching the artist. I mean, it was One Republic and Tim McGraw there.
Wow.
And I was so captivated by all the things that was going on, the lights, the stage, the production, the screen, and I can care less what was going on the stage.
Yeah.
And when we went home, I told my wife, I was like, I think I want to get in the music business. This thing is awesome. Of course, her knowing me and always wanting to, like, one day you want to be a firefighter, one day you want to be EMS, and you want to be a dancer. Now you want to be a music guy. Like, okay, honey.
Anytime you see something, you just want to be that.
Yeah.
It's like some weird version of a hypochondriac. Like, you see a sickness, you're like, no, I got that sickness.
Totally.
It's the same thing. I see a job, now that's what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah, absolutely. As supportive as she is, she's like, all right, honey, go ahead.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what that means. So what I do, I Google, what is it? How do you be a promoter? Or whatever. And so I found a local country artist in my hometown that wanted to be known. And I'm like, well, I love country music. I call him up and say, hey, do you need a manager? He's like, sure. I'm like, oh, yeah, I can do it. Not knowing anything.
This is great,
right?
dude.
And so I'm like, all right, what I've learned in that short amount of time of getting in the industry, if you wanted to make it big, you had to play the bar scenes. So I'm like, bro, I got to put you in bars. Here's the kicker. That band and that artist, they were diehard Christians.
Oh, that's funny.
I was not.
Yeah, yeah. And did you know this?
I knew it, yes, but I didn't let it be a distraction to me at that time because I'm like, this is my shot. I'm going to be a big time promoter.
Yeah. Or maybe you think maybe you didn't fully understand like a Christian, because to me,
could have been.
like outside of really knowing the depth of relationship with Jesus, a lot of people say they're Christian, but and this is not as a judgment thing, but sometimes that doesn't really mean anything.
Right.
And
No, they were Christians. Like,
yeah.
I mean, they
cool.
didn't,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
didn't
Okay,
cuss.
cool.
As a matter of fact, it was a battle for me to convince them that I need to put you in bars.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he's like, all right, we'll do it. And it caused a lot of stress in the household, in their household. And I'm like, I'm putting them in bars. And what I'm doing, I'm booking them in bars, building a relationship with the bar and club owners to where they're asking me now, like, hey, can you bring us bigger artists? And I'm like, well, yeah, I can. Not knowing anything on how to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, well, how do I figure this out? I find an artist, go to their website, see who's like how their contact forms are. And then, well, who's this such and such agency, right? I Google them, reach out to them. It's like, yeah, I want to book that artist. And, and just started doing that and using the bar owners' monies to book these bands. And then now what that's doing is building my reputation in the music industry.
Yeah, of course.
And then I'm realizing, wait, I'm a promoter now.
Yeah.
And I just all of a sudden just started like building up relationships with all these clubs. I had clubs all the way from Lincoln, Nebraska to Tulsa, Oklahoma. I was literally booking mini tours.
And just because you just felt like it.
Just because I felt like it and I was building the relationship.
It just started working.
And it started working.
Yeah.
And then I started building. And I mean, also, while I'm doing this, I know in the industry it's all about relationships.
Yeah.
Building those relationships is so key.
Yeah.
And I thought what that means I'm just going to party with the artist.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was just going to ask. So, like, because you're coming from this background of partying and all these things, working with this Christian act, do you feel like you just saw that as we have two different viewpoints and I got to work with it? Or do you feel like that was maybe it was just planting seeds? Or do you feel like it was impacting you at all?
I think both. They wouldn't drink.
Yeah.
I would drink. My wife would drink.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And then I would book this national artist and they wouldn't be a part of it. I'm still kind of booking them, but honestly what was happening was I knew where they were and where they didn't want to play.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to build these relationships with national artists. I'm like, see ya.
Yeah.
I'm going this way.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And eventually it went that way because they're like, we can't do bars no more.
Yeah. And were you considering the reality of relationship with God at this point? Or
no.
Yeah, cool.
No. I'm like, okay, I'm done with those guys.
Yeah.
That was boring. Let's go over here. So
that's hilarious.
And then building up these relationships, partying with the artist, drinking a lot, and like the old documentaries you see on Netflix of what happens backstage.
Yeah.
That was us. Right? That was me.
Yeah.
And I thought that's what it was supposed to be like. I thought that was the music industry. I was loving it, but I was always felt there was still an emptiness.
Yeah.
And I was always just chasing. It felt like I was chasing after something that wasn't there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
well, again, it's the illusion, right? It's the moving target is like, for a moment, for the momentary pleasure of, wow, I'm doing this and it's working with this band.
Right.
Oh, there's a bigger band. Oh, now this is working. Oh, but there could be more. Oh, now but there could be more. It's just like, again, when you're looking for these moments, these accomplishments, these accolades to fuel your identity, the sad thing is that it does start to become fuel. It's just very bad fuel and very temporary fuel.
Right.
And I think that's why it's so crazy when people start accomplishing the things they've always wanted to do, they find themselves burning out and being more depressed than ever. It's like, how is this happening? How is my addiction getting worse? How are my relationships getting worse?
Yeah. And you don't think that.
No, you don't.
You think it's normal, it's fun,
Yep.
and you're just going after it, chasing after the dream, if you will.
Yeah.
And self-destructing at the same time.
Goodness.
So fast forward, living in a small town, you talk about identity. Well, everyone knows who you are.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what you do, right? And the one thing that my wife and I both had in common was we didn't like Christians. We definitely weren't going to go to church.
Yeah, I feel like it's like fun to hate Christians together.
It was almost like that. It was like that. It was like that Saul versus Paul moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And although I never killed Christians, let's just make that
It's like, hold on, disclaimer.
Yeah, right. So, but we always had that agreement, like church is not our thing, Christians not, because we always felt judged from Christians. We always felt like we were micromanaged, and it was just Bibles thrown. We were done.
Yeah,
we didn't want it. So our sanctuary was the bars.
Yeah.
you know? But living in a small town, everyone knows what you do. And there was one man in that town who I went to school with. He was a grade under me, I believe. And he was super cool, very evangelistic. You kind of remind me of him. A lot of energy, a lot of fun to be around. And I could always have a cool conversation with him. And I knew he was a Christian. As a matter of fact, he was a pastor. He was a pastor.
Oh, funny.
So he's very
A
evangelical.
cool pastor?
They exist.
That's a thing.
So he would always come when we encountered each other in a small town, which was very often. He would be like, "Bro, how's the music biz? You know, what's going on? How's the fam? You know, nothing like, repent, you're going to hell." None of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I can smoke a cigarette and drink a beer and have a conversation with this guy and
yeah.
not feel judged.
Yeah, and
was
he's genuinely interested in you as a person.
genuinely interested.
Yeah.
And so fast forward, we have a couple conversations and coffee time one time, and he says, we're sitting at the table, he goes, "Have you thought about doing a concert in Stockton, where we live? This little small, I mean, it's so small on the map, you have to zoom in, you know, and find it, right?" And he's like, "Have you thought about doing a concert here?" And I'm like, "No." I mean, the town couldn't support it. In my mind, I'm thinking country
For
concert.
all 14 people who live here.
I mean, the town is so small, bro. It doesn't even have a stoplight. Like the highlight's Dollar General.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the one officer that carries a bullet in his pocket, right?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Just throw it at you.
You can die. Yeah. So he's. I said, "No, I've not thought about there. It just wouldn't work." And he goes, "Well, how does the music business work?" And I said, "Well, in short, you find a venue, find an artist, put tickets on sale, and hopefully make money."
Yeah.
He goes, "Okay, well, what if I had a venue?" And I'm like, "Bro, I've lived here my whole life. There's no venue here."
Yeah.
Right? In my mind, I'm thinking there's this expo center that's really horrible acoustics. I was like,
The Dollar General.
Yeah, the Dollar General, right? And I'm thinking, he's probably thinking that, and there's no way I'm going to do it. But he's like, "Well, what if we had a venue?" I'm like, "Okay." I said, "I don't think the town would support a country music concert." He chuckles a little bit. And he's like, "Huh, you're probably right. What about a Christian concert?" And I'm like, hold the phone.
Yeah.
No. And I'll keep it PG, but I just said no.
Yeah.
Right?
For the sake of this podcast.
We'll keep it PG on my response. And he says, "Well, why not?" I'm like, 1, I don't know any Christian artists. 2, there's not a venue here. 3, I don't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And he says, "Well, go with me on this." I said, "Okay, Bo, only because you're cool." I said, "Okay, let's say you have a venue. I don't know any Christian artist." He goes, "Well, what if I gave you my top 10 list of my favorite Christian artists?" I'm like, "Okay, whatever." I said, "There's no money in it."
Yeah.
You know, and I just naturally thought that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Of
And,
course.
well, of course, there's still no money in it, just so we know.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, there's no money." And he goes, "Well, what if I can help with that?" I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "Well, if I have a venue, if I have some money and we put it all together and you take no risk or lower your risk, would you do a Christian concert?" Well, from a promoter standpoint, that's music to my ears.
Yeah.
Take the Christian part out. I'm like, a concert that I take no risk on?
Yeah.
I'm in, right? And I'm like, "Okay, what's the catch here? Like, what are you getting at?" He goes, "Well, let's do a concert at my church." And I'm like, "Bro, if I walk into your church, it's literally going to catch fire."
Yes. The demonic presence.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just like, "Are you sure?" You know? And he goes, "Absolutely, let's do it." And he gave me this list of bands, and it was the third band.
Like, what
on
are your
this
thoughts on cocaine in your church? Like,
Can we drink?
Yeah.
Where's the wine closet? You know?
Yeah.
And so we look at it was the third band on the list. And remember, I'm a country music promoter.
Yeah.
And the third band on this list is the first band that answered their phone. And they're like, "Yeah, we'll come and do it." And I'm like, "Okay." And I told him, and I told, his name is Pastor Bo. I said, "Bo," I said, "Hey, this band said they'll do it. The date's open. Let's do it." It was a heavy metal rock band called Seventh Day Slumber.
Yeah. Who I love, and this is how we connected without realizing it. But keep going. We'll get to that story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't even understand their music. Well, this is Bo's like favorite band. He's like, "Rock on." And what I didn't know was their show involves pyrotechnic. And this is a very small church, like 250 seats.
Yeah.
and a small ceiling, like
Yeah,
really
yeah.
low to the ground.
Yeah, like the pyros shoot 15 feet, the ceilings are 10.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm like a nervous wreck. The show's coming. I'm already nervous because it's a Christian event.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it. And I actually told Bo, I said, look, if I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to do it as a joke. And he was like,
Yeah.
let's sign here. Let's do it, right?
Yeah, yeah. I love this, man. And this dude sounds amazing. Also, like,
Yeah.
just so not intimidated
No.
at the fact that you're going in with no aligned vision as
None.
far as.
I told him I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it as a joke.
Dude, I
said,
love this, man.
I may have to take out some walls in your church to make this thing fit. And he goes, let's do it. If we
Yeah.
need to tear down a wall, put
Dude, I
holes.
love it,
And
man.
we almost had to just get power to the span.
Yeah.
But I figured out a way not to have to put a hole in the church's wall.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. it's
But the
probably
thing
good.
was, is he was willing.
Yeah, yeah.
He was willing because he saw a gift in me,
Yeah,
and he wanted
is
me to
amazing.
flourish in that gift.
yeah.
And I'll tell you about that here in a minute. So
Yeah.
the show happens. The show's going on. I'm already a nervous wreck because I don't know what to experience here.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know who this band is, and I can't understand half the stuff they're saying. They're shooting up flames. I'm like, lower the flames, and Bo's like, give me more flames. I'm like, no, I'm literally going to burn your church down, man.
Like, this isn't what I meant by the church is going to burn down when I walk inside. I was
Right.
talking about my sin. Now the Christian band brought pyro.
Right. So I go outside in the parking lot. I just had to get away, right?
Yeah.
My wife's out there, and what do we always do at these shows? We drink, we smoke, we do our thing. So we're in the back parking lot of this church while the concert's going on. You could hear the beats, the from inside, right?
Yeah.
And we're doing our thing. We're drinking, we're smoking, we're doing whatever, All of a sudden, the music stops. And from a promoter standpoint, let me tell you, when that music stops, first off, it's a church. I didn't want to go in. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we're literally just put the church on fire because those flames. I'm thinking the church is on fire, but I hear screaming. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? I'm processing, still smoking, doing my thing. And then I hear, my back's toward the church, right? And then I hear a voice says, John, come inside. I looked at my wife. I said, who just told me to come inside? Someone just yelled, come inside. And she looks over my shoulder toward the church building, and she's like, no one's out there. No one said anything. I'm like, no, someone just told me to come inside. So I put down what I was doing, and I go inside. The reason why there was no music playing, because the front man, Joseph, of that group, he was talking. And I'm like, well, what in the world's going on? What's he talking about? He's talking about drugs and alcohol. And I'm thinking, oh my word. This guy is airing out my dirty laundry to my hometown people.
Yeah.
I thought he was talking about me.
Yeah.
So I'm livid
Right, because you
now.
can't talk about drugs and alcohol in a church, right? So
No.
like, who else would they be talking about? Yeah, yeah. No,
Absolutely.
That's amazing. This is crazy. Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, wait a minute. So I'm listening, a little angry because this is not a concert.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like I just got judged again,
Yeah, yeah.
And he goes talking a little bit more, and then I start realizing, wait a minute. He's not talking about me. So a sign of relief there. He's talking about himself. And then he goes into more depth, like he goes, I tried to commit suicide, and I was in the back of an ambulance, and I met a man that saved my life. And I'm like, wait a minute. What? I'm a little engaged, little confused. Why is there not music going?
Yeah.
I want a concert. I don't want preaching.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to know who this man is that saved your life, because I used to be an EMS guy. Like,
That's
is
crazy.
the firefighter guy going to come out?
Yeah, yeah.
This is interesting. And he says, does anyone here want to meet who that man was? Because that man's name was Jesus Christ. Wait, what?
He was in the ambulance.
How does this?
Yeah.
Was he the driver?
Yeah. Jesus, take the wheel. That was so literal right now.
And he goes, if you want to meet Jesus tonight, raise your hand. And I saw 23 kids raise their hand. And he talked more. I mean, I'm butchering what he was saying, but it was,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's got a gift, man.
he's got a gift. And I'm
yeah.
like, I mean, you know his story too,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure. And I'm like, I'm sitting in the back of this church along the wall. I kind of want that freedom,
Yeah.
but I can't. I'm the promoter. I can't
Yeah,
show
yeah.
my cards. That's a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
A lot of pride.
Yeah.
I'm not going to raise my hand. But what am I even raising my hand to if I want? All these thoughts.
Yeah.
are coming through my head.
Yeah. And what's funny is I feel like a lot of times in those moments too, it's not even thoughts that you can clearly articulate because it's something happening deeper, right? There's a thing in you that's like, go up, do something. Like you have to do something.
And you don't understand it.
And you don't understand it. Yeah, because it's the Holy Spirit starting this work. And when it's something you haven't encountered or responded to before, you can't explain it. Because now you're like, I'm having a conversation with myself. I can't even explain why I want to go up there, but I have to.
I wanted to, but I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
But I wanted what he was talking about. I wanted to be set free
Yeah.
from the life I was living, but I just didn't know how.
Yeah.
So when I saw those 23 kids raise their hand, I then realized I'm not the only one struggling here.
Wow.
And I knew most of them
That's
because they're my
powerful.
hometown.
Yeah.
So I became a hot mess, like liquid coming from my eyes I've never had before. Things coming out the ugly snot cry.
Yeah.
I was that was me, right?
Yeah.
That was me. And don't know what's going on. I'm trying to process. And here comes Bo from the front row to the back where I was, puts his arm around my neck, points to the audience and says, "Look what you did."
That man set you up.
And I'm like, I have no idea
That
what's
is-
going on. He's like, "You want me to explain it to you?" I'm like, "Please," because I have no idea what's going on. And when he explained it to me was when I realized I wanted to say yes to Jesus.
Yeah.
I just wanted freedom.
Yeah.
And I did. And in the moment I said yes and just fully surrendered everything I had, it was that clean feeling. Like you work all day, sweat, and you go home and take a shower and you come out and you just feel that clean, relaxed feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I felt.
That's amazing. Oh, there's so many incredible layers to this, but I think the one thing, obviously, this pastor who's so present, I think willing to risk so much just to see you come to know Jesus, right? And that's why I said it kind of joking, like, man, he set you up, but it's like he wanted you to experience life, and he let you in doing your thing. He didn't say, "Hey, why don't you come to my church on Sunday?" And he was like, "Hey, do your thing. We want to make space for you.
Yeah.
And I want to show you that what you do actually can be something life-giving." And I think, again, like, that's why I love testimonies like this. This applies to so many people.
Yeah.
Any person right now in this moment, they have people in their life who need to know Jesus, who need encouragement, who need to feel seen, who need to feel supported. They might not be walking with God. They might not be in a good place. But there's something you can give them to fill them. There's an opportunity you can provide them with, not just as a handout, but to partner with them and do something with them. Or they get the opportunity to walk with you, and you can invite them into your world.
Yeah.
And I love that this is what he did. He was like, this is what you do. This is what I do. I want to invite you in.
Right.
And now you guys are walking together, creating this event that changed your life.
Well,
forever.
what's even cooler about that is Pastor Bo identified my gift.
Yeah.
He identified a talent that I
Come
had.
on.
And what he did is he gave me an opportunity to surrender that gift and that talent to Jesus so that then Jesus, can anoint that gift and to take me to places I would never imagine to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And through his obedience and his willingness to accept me for who I was and not be judgmental in it or try to push the Bible down our throat. See, all of us can think of someone who's not saved and want them to get saved more than anything in the world.
Yeah.
And what we naturally want to do is throw the book at them.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know, we want to tell them about Scripture. We want to tell them, but sometimes that's not the right approach.
Yeah.
And what Bo realized is he saw a gift in me, and he goes, "I want to use his gift.
Yeah.
Let him operate in it, and then let the Holy Spirit do the rest." Because when you force it, it's not of God.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, as you were saying, I was just thinking, like, I think sometimes we treat Christianity like this is a book of beliefs, right? And I just believe these things. These are my instructions. These are the rules. These are the words. And so we see Christianity almost like as like a thing to learn. Like I need to tell you these facts, and then you need to decide if you believe those facts or not.
Right.
And Christianity is so relational, right? Like, this is a whole book of history, of God constantly interacting with humans when they least deserve it, in the midst of their mess, in the midst of their brokenness, in the midst of their addiction, in the midst of their confusion and their anger. God constantly interacting and redeeming and healing, and we break it again, and he comes back and he heals and he redeems and he saves. And when you start realizing that, you realize that our role is not to convince people God is real and here's why.
Right.
Our role is to show people what Jesus wants to do in their life, which
Right.
is to show up and to
Right.
know them and to care.
Right.
Are you addicted? Dude, I love you. Why? Let
Mm.
me try and understand your pain so I can understand you're not just a bad person
Right.
who does drugs.
Right.
You are a person who is experiencing something, who somewhere along the way got caught up, didn't know who you were, made some bad decisions,
Yeah.
and that just snowballed.
Right.
And if I can help you navigate that, now it doesn't become me saying, this God's real and here's
right,
why.
right.
This is like, dude, I love you.
Right.
What would it take for you to know that you matter
Right.
in the midst of your brokenness?
Right.
And hearing these stories, I mean, dude, when Christians step up and do this, I mean, man, and again, I know we're going to get to this, but you are doing festivals now, thousands and thousands of people coming into these spaces because one guy saw you,
Yeah.
right? He saw your gift.
Yeah.
And I say this all the time. It's like, we have no idea the ripple effect, so to speak, we have no idea what can come from a decision to see a person and to walk with them, even if it's just for a season.
Absolutely.
Gosh, it's insane.
Well, and what's so cool is while I was in the secular music industry and country music, doing the bars, I was actually getting up to a level of coliseums now.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to do an outdoor country music festival.
Yeah.
And when I tried, I mean, I would call up the Live Nation groups and all these big entities that are in the industry and like, nah, you're not big enough, and shut the door. I always wanted to do it. And it was that night when I surrendered to Christ, I go home. I had a dream. And in the dream, I remember, like I can see it today, was just a huge open field and thousands upon thousands on that field. And then I saw a stage. And then, I don't remember much of that, but the next day I remember that dream, and I called Bo and a few other people, and I said, I just had this dream. Is it me, or did I just dream of a country music festival? Is my dream going to come true? And Bo goes, no, maybe it's a Christian music festival. And I'm like, I need to reach people who were just like me.
Wow, man.
And I'm like, what better way to do that than doing a Christian music festival?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to go to church. My old me would have never gone to church.
Yeah.
But I would go to a concert or a festival.
And even more interesting, you were doing an event in a church, right?
Yeah.
With a Christian band.
Yeah.
In a small place, and 23 people, 24, give their life to Jesus. You were already in a church.
I was.
And so what's incredible is to know that there are lost people everywhere.
There is.
Even in the church, even at these Christian festivals. And what this gives you the platform to do is to share Jesus the same way this dude did, and to put fire under the butts of Christians, to be like, man, we have a responsibility to save the lost, man.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Well, it gets better, So once I explained what this dream was to Bo and a few other people, a couple knew another couple in South Dakota. And this couple was known for putting on the world's largest free Christian music festival. And they heard my story. They heard this radical change that this country music promoter just had a dream. And I'm still in Stockton, right? I'm like a little small town, USA, right? And I'm thinking, I'm going to do a music festival here at the city park on 2 acres.
Yeah.
With all the swing sets and monkey bars. And I tell the couple in South Dakota, they found out, they came all the way down to my hometown, caught the vision, and said, we're actually retiring our festival, which at that time, they were at 350,000 people at.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And they're like, we're retiring it, and we want to help people like you to launch their festivals. So fast forward, this was in July of 2016 when I gave my life to Christ, fully surrendered everything. 2017, July, was my very first festival. Guess where? In that hometown of Stockton. And over 10,000 people showed up.
That is crazy.
In the middle of nowhere.
And you said at this point, your wife was still...
She was not saved.
She was not saved at this point.
Yeah. So literally, bro, it is literally heaven and hell in my house.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand the book of Genesis.
Yeah.
And she's just getting high.
Yeah.
And we just agreed. We did have one agreement. Like, hey, again, my wife very supportive in all my radical things I want to do. Okay, well, now he is a Christian. I'll support you, honey.
Yeah.
You
That's
know?
the next thing.
That's the
Now he
next-
wants to be a pastor. Just right back to the original. That's so funny, bro.
Right. So she's just like, just agree with me that we're not going to give money to the church. Okay, yeah, we don't have much to give, so we won't give, but I'm going to understand Genesis.
That's hilarious.
And you do your thing. I wasn't going to force it,
Yeah.
but I knew I had to change. And when I said yes, all my addictions fell off me. I can't explain it. The next day, I had no desires, and still
Let's
to
go,
that
bro.
day, I've not had a desire.
Let's go. That's crazy.
It just went away. It
Yeah.
vanished. So we did this first year festival. 10,000 people showed up. We all freaked out. I freaked out. Town freaked out. The one cop freaked out. We're like, what do we do? You know, I'm like, I have
Security
an idea.
for 10,000 people. It's just that one guy.
Let's maybe in 2018, let's split the days up. So
Yeah.
maybe it'll be less people on
Yeah.
each day. No, 23,000 people showed up the following year. We literally outgrew the town, and had to move it to the next metropolitan town, which at that point was in Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah.
And in 2019 was our largest crowd pre-COVID when we had 43,000 people show up.
Goodness.
We rebranded the name. I knew God was saying, I want you to reach more people. And I was at a cap in my hometown. And I was taken to a really cool story in the Bible where Jesus even had to leave his hometown to operate in his gift. And I'm like, I need to leave. I want to reach more people.
Wow.
And that's when we grew. We changed, like I said, we rebranded, changed our name. And now, to date, we're doing multiple festivals, multiple concerts with the mission of taking church outside the walls.
Dude, it's so awesome, man.
I needed to reach people like me.
Yeah. And what I love, and the reason that I resonate so much with this, and I know like this is even more details than I knew from the last time that we talked, but like for me, what I love about your pastor, right? This guy who's just like, here's an opportunity. Let me show you what it looks like to add purpose to what you love and what you're good at. For me, when I was a kid, I've had multiple like foundational moments, right? And one of them was when I was young, you know, like any kid, I loved magic tricks. And we went to a big Christian festival, and there was a guy there twisting balloons, and he was selling videotapes how to twist balloons. And I was like, I wanted to learn how to do that, right? So I learned how to twist balloons and knew how to do some magic tricks. And this guy came and spoke at our church, shared a testimony about how he was helping these kids in the inner city. He had this heart similarly to take the church outside the walls, to just be with the kids who are out, you know, running the streets and all these things. And, you know, he's talking to the church. He asked if anybody wants to help. And I raised my hand, right? I'm a little, you know, I'm this little 9-year-old kid. My hand shoots up. He's talking to the adults. I don't know. But afterwards, he took it serious. He's like, let's talk afterwards. And so we sit down. And he's like, you know, what do you like? I like twisting balloons and doing magic tricks. And he's like, man, how would you feel about, like, what if you like dress up like a clown and you come and like perform for these other kids your age, right? And at that point, my parents were struggling. They were just kind of starting to do the church thing again. And he's like, you know, kids that are maybe in kind of similar situations to you, they don't know who they are, but he's like, I think it would be really cool for them to see someone their age using their gifts for Jesus. And I'm just dressing up like a clown. And in my mind, church is still kind of new, especially in this capacity, because the church we were coming from, it was like the robes and the hymn books. And when we first started going to this church, it's like there's a drum set on stage.
What?
And now those guys tell me to do ministry, I should dress up like a clown. Like, I'm 9, dude. Don't you have to be a pastor, a worship leader? Like, and even the worship leader idea was new, because from what I knew, you were reading the hymns. And this guy's like, you should dress up like a clown and show kids your age you can do this stuff for Jesus. And this is like, I don't think I realized it then, but it was so foundational, because I went and performed and it was horrible, right? I didn't know what I was doing. But there was something about someone giving me permission to say, hey, you can show people Jesus with your gifts, even though you're unprepared, you're uneducated, you're not experienced, you don't know what it means to preach Jesus, but just show up, man.
Yeah.
Show up with what you love and use it to bless people. And I think that really did set me on a course. And so that was one of those foundational moments. And the next one, and this was later in my life, I'm at this Christian heavy metal rock concert. And it was a band that I had seen before. I'm like, dude, these guys are awesome. So we go to see them again. And this dude, they play one song, they start the second song, and he's like, stop. He stops her, but he's like, I'm sorry, we normally do this at the end. But I have to do this now. He's like, is there anyone here struggling with suicidal thoughts? Anyone who's ever thought about this, right? And he gives a bit of his testimony, but it was short, and he's like, I usually do this at the end, but I just feel like I need to do this now. I can't kick this feeling. Bunch of people raise their hand. He's like, oh man, he's like, at the end, listen, I want to pray for you. I want to talk to you. And so he's like, let's get back to it. So they start second song. He's like, I'm sorry. He's like, I can't. He's like, I just can't kick this. I feel like the Holy Spirit's just speaking to me right now. He's like, how many of you guys have actually like planned your suicide? Bunch of the hands still up.
Wow.
And he's like, he's like, I know this might be really uncomfortable. I feel like I'm supposed to ask this. Like, how many of you guys already have your notes written? Dude, so many hands still up. And he was like, how many of you guys are planning on doing this even like tonight or this week? So many hands. He's like, I'm sorry. He's like, I have to stop this concert. He's like, can you guys all come forward? Everyone comes forward. He's like, everyone else, if you guys need your money back or whatever, he's like, I can't keep doing this. He's like, I just feel like this is so important. I need to sit and talk with these people. And he pulls all these kids in this back room and he's talking to them and ministering to them, and everyone else, the concert's just over. And I was like, this is one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Wow.
And in the moment, it's obviously like, oh, we came for a concert, but to know that someone was willing to stop everything, to disappoint all of these other people for the sake of saving these lives, right? You can have your money back, you know, whatever. And of course, this was Seventh Day Slumber. Like this was
really,
yeah. And this is why your story and hearing this is so crazy to me, because in my, like, this was a huge moment for me with someone who has such a passion to perform, has a passion to be on stages, to see someone on this spotlight in this huge venue completely stop a show because he was willing to let the Lord interrupt it.
Wow.
And I think this is why we've had so many moments of like, all right, God, I don't know what this looks like, but we got to lay this down again. We got to lay this down again. I don't know what the result's going to be. Like for him in that moment, maybe these people are going to be mad. Maybe they're not going to be fans anymore. We might lose all of these fans who show up to this show.
Sure.
But if it means we're saving the lives of these people and introducing them to Jesus, then like, I'm not trying to grow a business. I'm trying to expand the ability,
kingdom.
Trying to grow the kingdom. Exactly. And man, there are so many of these moments. That's why I love your story. I feel like so similarly, you've had people kind of laying this foundation of what it can look like to know Jesus, to be in the industry, and then to see this guy stop a show and speak. And it's the same guy, right? Like this moment that was so pivotal for me. And we've modeled so many things after that moment. And it doesn't mean you just go and purposely stop doing shows, but it means you stay sensitive to the Holy Spirit and what he wants to accomplish. And I see that in you, man. And I see what you're doing. And what's so cool, I love even your verbiage, your wording of saying like, I want to create moments really for people like me, right?
Yeah.
For people to experience what I experienced, people to come in. Maybe some of these people are coming to just mock the band. Maybe they are coming because it's a free event. Some of these events that you're doing, it's free event, and they know there's gonna be single girls there, and so they're just like, dude, thousands of single girls, right? Like maybe that's their reasoning. But you are creating space for people to show up and to encounter God in a real way. And I love that you keep saying the way that it happened for you, right? The way that you encountered God. It's just so cool and inspiring, dude.
Well, what's so cool is when I have the opportunity to share the story a lot, I always get one question that follows up. When you went back into the church and you surrendered, what happened to your wife?
Yeah.
You know, and again, like I said before earlier, you know, she didn't get saved till a year and a half. What was it for her?
Yeah.
And I don't want to steal her thunder, but I convinced her to go to Branson, Missouri. The church was doing some kind of like little family retreat. And in her mind, she was thinking, Branson, mini vacation, I'm in.
Yeah.
What's that going to hurt? You know,
Yeah,
water
yeah.
park, kids will have fun, and I'll do this one church thing. Well, we didn't know what we were getting into. The church invited me. Bo reached out, and Bo's wife reached out to my wife. And like,
You set her up,
come.
bro. Just like he set you
just
up.
like,
You
and it was
set her up. Dude.
totally
Hey, vacation time, baby.
So we get there, and you know they're playing music and worship and stuff like that, and they did an altar call. And it was Bo, and she saw a 7-year-old little boy respond to the altar.
Ugh.
And she looks at me and she just elbows me. She goes, if a 7-year-old little boy has the nerve to do that, I do too. And then that's when she surrendered to Christ.
That is amazing.
And it's just been a powerful marriage ever since. And I remember, I got to share this story. And if, honey, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, but I've got to share it. This is so funny. I love sharing this story. That same night, the church was just so excited that the two people now are living for Christ.
Yeah.
And they're like, let's go celebrate. So we go to Shoney's or whatever, and the restaurant afterwards, and we're all the church family. There's, I don't know, 30, 40 of us all around this whole table taking on. We all get our food, and we're like, all right, let's pray. And Bo, as rambunctious as he is, he goes, Beth, you should pray. And she's like,
It's your wife.
my wife. And she's like,
This guy's just throwing people in the deep end. You should do Christian festivals now. You've been saved
"You
3
should
hours.
pray." Yeah. And she's like, okay. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Say no? No.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. And she's serious. And we're kind of, and we bowed our heads. And she goes, dear baby Jesus. And we just all started busting up laughing. Because we're thinking she's just pulling a Talladega Night.
Yeah.
She didn't know. She's like, I'm serious. Like, that was her prayer. And we're all
amazing. Like, you knew he grew up, right? He didn't stay a baby.
He's not a baby.
Yeah.
And it was a serious prayer
That
for
is
her.
adorable.
And we're all busting up laughing.
Yeah.
And so she's like, no, I'm not praying no more in public.
Oh my gosh. Well, just don't say baby Jesus and you can keep praying in public.
Well, she was new. She
Yeah.
didn't know,
That's so funny, man.
It was
That's so sweet.
It was so great. It was a beautiful moment, but now we both love Jesus. And we love, we're real people, right? We're still learning things, right? We're still growing. We're still understanding, but we want to be real because we knew who we were and we knew what God can do and what he did in us.
Yeah.
And we knew what we didn't like when we were not Christians.
Wow.
And we, like, when I was saved and she wasn't, I wasn't going to force it.
Right.
Because I didn't like that. So
Yeah.
why would I do it? And now we don't do that to others.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're going to say Jesus is cool,
Yeah.
but we want to know about you.
Yeah. And what's cool is that what I love is some people would say we don't force it. And really what that means is it's almost an excuse to not share the gospel. It's almost an excuse to water stuff down. But what I love what you're doing is you are creating opportunity for people to know Jesus while simultaneously not forcing it. Because like at your events and stuff, you're having literally altar calls and baptisms and all these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you are creating space for people to go as deep as they possibly can in a moment, while again not forcing it. And what I think is so great is I think that really does take the heart of Jesus, right? To know what that looks like. Because I know people who are so passionate about people knowing Jesus that they forget to see the person because it's just about the mission. It's just about, well, you need to know Jesus now and I need to convince you. And then you see people who are like, well, we got to be their friends. And then they don't really even ever mention Jesus and they talk about hope and purpose and dreams. And it's like,
which can come off very religious to a person who doesn't know.
Right,
Christ.
or super new agey where Jesus is removed completely.
Absolutely.
And we usually live on one extreme or the other. And so I think to do this simultaneously is really beautiful. And I see you doing this so well where you are genuinely creating events that are amazing.
Well, I
full
use
of
two
life.
things. I use two things. I use the love of music that I love.
It was where my parents got saved too at that festival that we went to.
And I always say music has a way of entering your heart without your permission. That's why it's so key on what you listen to.
Yeah, man. Oh my gosh. Yes, dude. And it's so cool because you said that because we like live that out and we try to, but I think without that language that you just said, I think it's so good. Because to us, it's like, I know it's doing something. Yeah. I know that when I'm in my home, when I just have worship music playing, it changes the environment, changes the dynamic. Yeah. So why wouldn't other music do the same in a negative way?
That's right.
So say it again.
So music has a way of entering your heart without your permission.
Man, that's so
So
good.
I used what I loved, music. And then once I surrendered my talent and my gift that God gave me back to him, he was able to anoint it. And that's where we're at today. That's why we're able to reach more people for the kingdom.
Yeah, it's so cool. And I know like, now we're getting, I think, a little bit more as you're doing this stuff, doing this ministry, kind of caught up to where we meet because we have a mutual friend. And for us, we have a heart for this town, for Branson. And Branson's an amazing place. Yeah. There's some broken things about Branson. There's some amazing things about Branson. Yeah. And we really believe that God wants to do something incredible in this place. And so we see this huge things coming. Johnny Morris builds this huge amphitheater, Thunder Ridge, right?
Thunder Ridge,
beautiful. Everything Johnny builds is bonkers.
Amazing.
Yes. Yeah. and now we see, oh man, they're having a Christian concert with like Orrin Wells and Need to Breathe and KB and all these artists. I'm like, what is this happening? Yeah. And then our mutual friend Lex just randomly shows up at my house one night as he normally does, which is great. Lex is like so 90s with his showing up. Like he doesn't call, he doesn't text. He's just really, oh, someone's at the door.
That is
I
so
love
his
this.
personality.
I love it, bro. I love it, dude. I'm like, someone's knocking. We weren't expecting. It's probably Lex. And of course,
That's why
Lex
I
is
won't
there.
give him my address.
Yeah. But we start talking. He's like, hey, this festival's coming. Like,
Yeah.
man, you should host it, or you should do something, or I should introduce you to my friends. I'm like, wait, for real? I was like, is this what you came over for? He's like, I don't know. I just showed up and I feel like smart. I was like, let me send a text. And he sends
Totally. I remember getting this text.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's this Dustin guy?
Yeah,
Like, what?
yeah.
And he sends me this video. I'm like, we're in.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And bro, for me, it's such an honor because like this is the kind of stuff that we love to see brought to this space. Obviously for young people, but like this has become our home, this place here, right? And to know that you're bringing in something so awesome and so huge to get to be a part, I'm honored, dude. So like, also, as you talked about your plug earlier for your book, a little plug for Light the Way.
Yeah.
What's the dates?
September 12th and 13th.
12th and 13th. Yeah, 12th and 13th.
Yeah.
Man, it's so exciting that like these groups are coming. You're bringing this stuff here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get to be on stage both days.
Yeah.
emceeing, speaking one of the nights, and you're speaking. On the second night.
On the second night.
Right?
Yep. Mhm.
Dude, it's amazing.
You're literally opening up for Torrin Wells, just so you know.
Yeah. No, it's awesome, dude. I love this guy so much.
With the
I love
gospel,
it.
yeah.
It's so cool. And I think like because we've also been in this season where a lot of the stuff that we've done, it's been a little bit of a blend of like mainstream and Christian stuff. And we've really felt like, no, it is a season of empowering the church, of bringing life to believers. If that means it's smaller, if that means it's bigger, if that means it's less financially making sense, if that means whatever it means, it doesn't matter. Like we are in our day and age, we are lost as believers, man. Christianity has been watered down. It's been twisted. It's been skewed. It's been manipulated. And it's like, man, to get back to exactly what you're talking about, that authentic version of Christianity where people have fun and they laugh and they encounter the Holy Spirit. Their life has changed forever. And it's like, okay, good job. Now it's time to put on a suit and stand in front of a boring building and just recite scriptures that you need to memorize. So stop doing everything else fun, memorize this, and then recite it every day. Like this is a true invitation into relationship with a very real God who knows people and sees people and loves people. And it's to me, it's just so exciting to be a part of something like that, man. And it's why I was so stoked to be able to even just have this conversation, hear your story, because I think there are believers who need to be reminded that there is life in Christianity.
Absolutely.
We are not this small remnant bullied group of people. Dude, we have the King of the universe living inside us, empowering us to do the things he's designed us to do and to bring life to captive, to set captives free, right? To bring life to those who are hurting and dying and sick. And to see you doing that, man, and I think to be able to link arms and to say, man, how do we bring life to people? It's so...
Well, it's so much more important than just a Sunday morning service.
Yeah.
Being a Christian. You know, I've said this jokingly, but there is some truth to it. Christians need saved too.
Yeah, man.
You know, because we can get so caught up, myself included, even only being a Christian for 9 years, almost 10, I get caught up in just the routine of stuff.
Yeah.
And go to church, go to a group, whatever. And then, you know, where's the joy in that? Where's the growth in that, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that, you know, staying grounded in the truth, having accountability friends, surrounding yourself with other people is so key because you can try and get burnt out from trying, and you're not allowing God to go before you on it.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, and I think that's why we see God's hand on our ministry. I mean, not only are we having the festival at Thunder Ridge here in Branson, Missouri on September 12th and 13th, but we've got festivals all over the country.
Yeah.
And we have a vision. I mean, our vision at the ministry is to reach 1 million people.
Yeah.
And then when I hit that million, I'm going to go after another million.
Yeah.
You know?
And this is the way that you have this too, is that people are coming and also volunteering and praying.
Oh,
and
yeah.
helping. So I think one encouragement too for anyone who's listening to this is go on the website. It's lightthewayministries.com.
Lightthewayministry.com.
Lightthewayministry.com.
With a Y.
Lightthewayministry.com.
Only one ministry.
Yeah. Lightthewayministry.com. And first of all, see if Light the Way is going to be in your hometown. But also, if you have a passion to see what it looks like to be hands-on, to just, I guess there a way people can volunteer or register to
Yeah, we have so many opportunities for people to serve. And honestly, doing these festivals, I can't do it myself. Our team can't do it ourselves. It takes an army of believers from security people, from parking attendants, from prayer people, production, rolling up, all these things. Look, I've been known to clean porta potties at festivals. Let me just tell
let's
you.
go,
You know
bro.
what I'm saying? Because that's what it's about.
Yeah.
We want to create an atmosphere so, again, people like me or my wife will feel welcomed when they come and not judged.
Yeah. No, it's so cool, man. And I think that there's something so huge about, as believers, remembering to consistently put action to our faith, to our belief set, right? I say I believe in God. What am I doing about
Where's
it?
the fruits?
Right? Yeah. And you know, it is so easy for the thinking of the world to infiltrate the church or to infiltrate the mind of Christians. In my own mind, right? In my own life. Yeah. It's so important that we're consistently surrounding ourselves with people who are thinking this way, or at least I should say who want to be thinking this way, right? Because you might not have people around you who are super educated on the Bible, who can, but together, when you're praying, when you're learning, when you're reading, when you're studying, when you're growing, there's something about having that same mission with a person. I mean, dude, I know people who, you know, they're going to church their whole life, hearing from a pastor, and then all of a sudden they decide, no, I'm following Jesus for real. And the next thing you know, they gang up with some other people who are also following Jesus for real, who aren't pastors, who never went to seminary, but they are experiencing more growth and more breakthrough than they did in all of their years of church.
Right.
And I think that's because when we as Christians become intentional, we realize that we're not just trying to increase our knowledge, we're increasing depth of relationship by putting action to stuff. And so I would say, even if some people are like, well, who's touring wells? Who's need to breathe? I would say, listen to some of their music, listen to some of these bands that are at some of these other Light the Way festivals, but like, invite people to them. This is a great opportunity. Man, look.
Come for the experience.
That festival I talked about before where I learned to twist balloons and did this thing, huge Christian music festival. My parents went because they loved music. They were still figuring out the relationship with Jesus, right? My mom was having an affair. My dad had affairs. Like there's all this crazy drugs, partying, all this stuff. They had someone invite them to this festival, gives a life to Jesus. My parents have, like, not only was their marriage restored, but they've started marriage ministries. They've seen countless marriages restored. People who were divorced, who they've talked to, who've seen now get remarried, right? Like they've had a second wedding because God does these kinds of crazy miracles in relationships. And now my parents raised me and my sister to know Jesus. And then, you know, I decide I'm stoked about getting on stages, winning America's Got Talent, performing in these places. Now we have our two boys who we adopted. They're knowing Jesus, all because they were invited to a Christian festival. They were invited into a space that they said, we want people to encounter Jesus and we want it to happen in a way that is relatable. And I see you doing this. It's almost like you've taken everything God's done in your life and you've applied it to what you're building or what God's building through you.
Right.
And at the same time, you've looked at all these other things, the things that you've seen within the church and outside of the church, right? Because you've done both now, right? You've done huge festivals outside the church. You've done huge festivals within the church world. And now you're taking all of these things and putting them into one experience where people can come, where they can be loved and entertained, and where they can also encounter the Holy Spirit in a big way and get baptized right then if they want to.
Well, the key is what I learned, wrapping up here, what I've learned is this. I wanted to do events that were just more than make you feel good for 2 hours. I wanted to do events that were life-changing forever.
Let's go, man.
And I made that vow to God, like, look, I've surrendered. I'm giving everything to you. And my promise to you is I want to do events that are life-changing.
Yeah.
Not just make you feel good for 2 hours. So it's more than a festival. It's more than having you on the stage. It's more than having Need to Breathe or Torn Wells or KB or Josiah Queen, all these people. It's more than that. They're great. Their ministries are awesome. But it's more than that.
Yeah.
It's about that encounter.
I love that, man. And again, I think obviously if there's a Light the Way close to people in their town, go to lightthewayministry.com, figure that out. But I think also the bigger thing is like we're not just trying to build your brand or your ministry or my brand.
It's not about
trying to build
us.
the kingdom. Yeah. And so I think the moral of all of this is like the fruit of inviting somebody into your life, inviting somebody to something could be thousands of lives changed in the future, right? I think of those people who took my parents under the wing because they went to this Christian festival. For you, right? You had a pastor who loved you in the midst of your mess. And you look at the fruit of that. Like there might be people, for anyone listening, like there could be someone that you know right now who is one invitation away from changing generations, right? From creating transformation for generations. And so like I think that's the thing, is never underestimate the power of inviting somebody into a space. And if it's one of your festivals, please come. If you're here in Branson, in Springfield, in any of the Missouri, if you're anywhere, just come to this thing, right? But also come and don't stop. Like invite and don't stop inviting. Because again, and it doesn't mean just invite people to a thing on Sunday mornings. Invite people into your home. Invite people to go see a movie. Invite people over to a birthday party. Invite them to a festival. Invite them to something. Start doing life with people and watch what God does with it.
And he'll work it.
He will work it, man, in amazing ways.
Absolutely. Are we ready to record?
Yeah, should we start now?
We should.
Let's pray real quick. Jesus, thank you so much. And begin.